In news this week, I think the big news, especially for old-time horror geeks like myself, you know, I don't like this torture porn crap that they're doing now, but old school horror. We've known for a while that they're remaking or rebooting Nightmare on Elm Street like they did with Friday the 13th.
And even I think that's like a bad idea because it's not so much that's not something you can redo, but unlike Friday the 13th, those movies are all about Robert Englund's performance. He is what sells those movies.
It's the performance.
So it's like if you don't have Robert Englund, why even bother?
Yeah.
But they announced.
Wow.
They announced the new Freddy, and I have to say, even I think this is a good idea.
So Watchmen star Jackie Earle Haley, Academy Award nominated actor, is going to be, well, in final talks to be playing Freddy Kruger. If you go to Internet Movie Database, this is actually an interesting point, now that I saw this. Another person that was rumored to be up for the role was Robert Knepper from Prison Break.
Also would have been good casting.
Would have been great.
So either one of those,
so I think it's good. I think he's going to act the crap out of this movie.
Right.
And from what I've read of the script review, he doesn't talk a lot in this movie. It's like a presence. It's more like
and he's great at that because he in Watchmen, Rorschach doesn't have a lot of lines. He is all about his presence in the room. And
I kind of like I know I'm going to be in trouble for this with the geeky crowd, but I kind of like the plot they're doing with this is that he plays this, I don't know, he's like a handyman or something, and all these little kids accuse him of, I don't want to say molestation, but they accuse him of something really bad. So the parents, like, take matters in their own hands because, the courts don't do anything. And so they're trying to say, like, you don't really know if the kids made it up or if it was true. So that's like the whole movie is him getting revenge on these kids that now that they've grown up to be like they're 18. And so it's the same kids that he's going after. And so that's what they said the underlying theme of the movie is you don't know who's right. It's either he's getting revenge on these kids for lying about him and getting him murdered, or they were right and he's
a terrible person.
A terrible person, which I think we know the answer to that.
Well.
But I think it's an interesting way to sort of make that.
It is because it gives, in these kinds of movies, usually it's just a crazed serial killer going around, often these young teenagers. It gives it a real a story to the villain. Like, there's a reason, there's a method to the madness, So, I mean, it sounds interesting enough. Obviously, I'm not going to see it, but I have to say that if they were going to find somebody to be the new Freddy,
he's a perfect person. So hopefully that goes through. It was better than that rumor we heard months ago of Billy Bob Thornton. That was kind of like,
well,
but speaking of Watchmen, read a story. We'll try not to laugh because there's really nothing funny about this. A man in Oregon was watching Watchmen in the theater and shot himself in the head for some reason. There's plenty of really tasteless jokes I can do with that. Like, and we made them all off camera. Yeah, like, I know what that feels like or whatever, but I think it's just, a weird place for that to happen and like a weird movie for that to happen in. There's just some people that really need help, and I think, it's just a weird story to come out. Right, just, that seems like an odd place to choose, but obviously it must have had some meaning to him. Yeah, so, horrible transition. Let's transition into another remake coming. Now, a lot of times they remake movies that don't necessarily need to be remade. Karate Kid, but it's actually called the Kung Fu Kid now. but this one I'm excited about because I think this is a movie that needs to be redone. Clash of the Titans, the 1981 classic. They are remaking that, and I'm just imagining they were on the cutting edge of special effects when they made that in 1981. So what they could do with that movie now is going to be really spectacular. But the casting, Liam Neeson as Zeus, Ralph Fiennes as Hades, and playing the part of the young hero Percy as Sam Worthington, who is soon to be seen in Terminator Salvation. Isn't he in Avatar too? And I can't remember, but possibly. So I know my brother was a huge fan of Clash of the Titans, loved it. Me too. So it'll be really interesting to see what they do, and I can't wait for the scenes of the face-off between Liam Neeson and Ralph Fiennes, because they're just going to be. That's an acting lesson right there. Yeah, they'll just be acting it off of each other, and I can't wait for that. Yeah, I've seen that movie. I don't know how many times. I think as a kid we had it on
Laserdisc.
Wow.
And,
you really dating yourself there.
And I must have worn that thing out, just watching that all the time. You could ask my mom if you don't believe me. I watch that movie all the time. And I was telling her that Stephanie this morning, like the part with Medusa, where he's in there trying to get her head so he can do the monster. Well, he wasn't going to do the monster, but he was going to kill the monster. That would have been a really different kind of movie. I couldn't watch that part for the longest time. No. I would always like hide my eyes because it was the scariest thing for me. So I hope they kind of do something with that because I think it'd be great to show my niece and she'd be scared.
I'm excited to see that. I can't wait.
Something else I'm excited for, transitions. Fringe has announced that they have a new person joining the cast, sort of. One of the underlying mysteries of Fringe is Bishop, who's the crazy guy in the show, played by John Noble from Lord of the Rings. He was working all this fringe science stuff with his partner. I forget his name. Is Dr. Bell, and they did everything together. And when Walter Bishop was sent to his insane asylum, Dr. Bell took everything and was really successful. He created this company called Massive Dynamic, who is sort of, we think, is the bad guy. They're like leading with all this fringe science stuff, and so they always talk about Dr. Bell, like, oh, Dr. Bell this, Dr. Bell that, or they never show him.
Okay.
We always thought there's a mystery, and I thought for a while it was going to be Bishop, like it was going to be this switcheroo, but they've decided that Leonard Nimoy, of all people, is going to be playing Dr. Bell, and I think, I think it was perfect casting. I think them together, the dynamic, no pun intended, is going to be great.
Well, I think it's brilliant casting. I don't watch the show, but I just think it's
scary for you.
I just think it's brilliant based on the idea that obviously there's crossover between the Star Trek fans and people who are going to watch Friends. Obviously, you're going to get that same core group. So to put somebody like Leonard Nimoy on the show, not only are you going to create interest among people who might just tune in, like myself, just to see Leonard Nimoy playing the bad guy and how it all works out.
Well, we don't know he's a bad guy, but it's implied.
Yeah. But just to see how that all works out, that it's just brilliant casting to reel the fans in even more into the show.
It is. And I think he's supposed to appear on the season finale, and then 3 or 4 episodes next season. They had to rewrite the part to kind of correspond with his schedule, so we're going to see less of Bell than we thought. But I think that it's going to be just to see that scene with them, John Noble and him together. I think that's a scene I'm waiting for.
Well, this all came about because in the making of the new Star Trek movie, Leonard Nimoy and J.J. Abrams became really good friends, so that's how he ends up on Fringe. So maybe he'll pop up on Lost next. Who knows?
Hopefully we get like a Hura, you know.
Just they'll start.
She was on Heroes. We can get someone on Lost.
Yeah, really.
And live long and prosper. So that's all for news. Do
we have time for Stump the Host?
Yes, we do. Unfortunately. Oh no, we're out of time.
Okay, so a story we didn't mention was that it was announced that Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr. are expecting their first child.
Technically, you mentioned it.
Well, now I did. So I decided to ask Tim a Buffy the Vampire Slayer trivia question.
Okay, I'm ready.
So
I'm ready.
Out of the regular cast of the show, like these are series regulars. Their names are in the opening credits.
Okay. One
person in that cast appeared in both the TV show and the movie. Who is it?
Oh, crap. Really?
Yeah.
Charisma Carpenter is...
Nope.
Nope.
Not Charisma Carpenter. Do you want to take another shot at it? Seth Green.
Oh!
Seth Green!
Yes.
Played Oz the Werewolf on the show and also had a little part in the original Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie.
Oh, there you go. I lost again. There you go.
So, that's it.
Yeah, as usual, check out our blog. We will be blogging every day. We know what we're talking about. So it's inscapeblog.blogspot.com. Remember, no show next week, so in 2 weeks.
We'll be back.
I think it's the 24th?
Something like that.
Yeah,
sure.
So April 24th we'll be back. We got to talk about what's coming out then. We got, The Soloist. Big movie. Soloist could Oscar bait. So we'll have a lot to talk about with The Soloist and a lot of news between then. So